those messages, and they delivered the messages. So everywhere the president hadn't gone yet, the messages were being delivered. By the time the president would come for his rallies, he was only emphasizing. Even where the president had left, we were always there to ensure that our messages are really concretized and the people get to appreciate and understand. Many other strategies we put in place, but that was the major strategy of ensuring that we use the village mobilization based strategy. So that one alone has really helped us do wonders. I want to say, in the last elections in 2021, NRM didn't perform well, and I also understand, I know, we all know, that the president got about 5-point-something million votes. Our target this time around was between 8 to 13 million. I'm sure if the turn-up was high, we were going to score more than that. Yes, the turn-up was low, lower than we anticipated, but we thank God that we have gone beyond the 5 million we got in the last elections. So getting 7 million, and I'm sure by the time they're going to announce the last votes, I'm sure we shall have reached around there. We shall be nearing 8 million. To me, I think we have made it. God has made it for us. Look at Uganda. Look at Kampala. Look at Central. In the last election, we almost totally lost the Central region. Actually, the entire Central was colored red. Maybe the people were convinced by what our counterparts had convinced them, but I'm very glad that the people of Uganda have been able to appreciate that the heaven people promised them on earth did not come to pass. So the people woke up by our messages, they woke up by the things the president has done in the last term, in the term we have concluded, because we must appreciate that President Museveni implemented, and the NRM government implemented our manifesto that we are concluding, which had in it the PDM, the parish development model, which has helped Ugandans. People of Uganda have realized that the government can do that much to empower them and help them move forward. Because it is through the PDM, people have been giving testimonies how they have been able to use that 1 million to develop, to even employ others. The skilling programs for the young people that the president has put in place in all regions of Uganda. Young people have been giving testimonies. They don't even admire going to offices because they can now start their own businesses. They can even employ other people. They have created jobs. And because of those things, the people of Uganda, even the young people, have woken up. I want to tell you, my brother and our dear viewers, when many people realized that the young people had registered to about 13 million, between 18 years to about 35 years, everybody would say, when the young people get confused, because we have always believed that there are times when our young people can be swayed. But to be honest with you, if you look at these elections, the story has been different. Even the young people have been a blessing to us. So I want to thank everybody who has participated in this, that we have reached this not as a single person, but as a team of the NRM family. But I want to thank in a special way His Excellency the President. All the things that we have done is because of him. He has been our chairman. He's actually our chairman of the party, much as he has been our candidate. He has been constantly guiding us on the strategies that we have employed. The President has been at the center. Actually, as a candidate and as a chairman of the party, he has been at the center, guiding us from time and again and giving us very good guidance. Your Excellency the President of Uganda, we are very proud. You have made us proud. Some of us, I think we are very grateful that we have done it. God has done it. We have not done it because of ourselves, but because of you, His Excellency the President. Your wisdom, your continued guidance, the love for this country you have, the commitment you have given to this country has led this country and has led NRM win this election. I want to assure you on that. So we want to thank you, Papa. We want to thank you, Jaja, for being such a good leader, a leader that has mentored us, the young people, because His Excellency and Mama have really mentored us. I want to assure you, the work we have done during this campaign is not going to leave us the same. we shall never be the same. I'm sure we can do much more. And even the manifesto we have, made Ugandans appreciate. We need to help His Excellency the President to ensure that it is implemented, because these are the promises we have given the people of Uganda. And once it is implemented, then the people of Uganda will trust us even more. And I want to assure you, after these 5 years, for us as a party, this is the time I want to tell and to call upon my fellow Ugandans, especially the NRM fraternity, the NRM family. We have to start the next campaign now. Because if we do well, if we do our work and fulfill our promises, then next time it will be a walkover.
Honorable, I wanted to ask, there have been a few incidents. You hinted on the voter turnout not being that good. What do you suspect caused this voter turnout to be this low?
First and foremost, I want to use an example of my own polling station. People had come in big numbers very early in the morning. In fact, I was even surprised that people came that early. But I realized that many people wanted to come early so that they can go back and do their other things, or even, sometimes people fear to stay in very long queues for a long time. And it was a scorchy sun. So people came early. Truly, people came very early at the polling stations. But we had a challenge of the delay in starting the voting. Because of the machines, we trusted the machines, but unfortunately, it didn't come to work out as we expected. So because of that, many of our people were going away. They were like, okay, let me go away, maybe I'll come back later. Let's go, we shall come back later. And it kept on like that, and some were calling. Have they started? If they get to know they haven't started yet, they stay on. And now, unfortunately, some of them didn't come back. And so that alone could have been one of the factors that reduced on the number of voters.
Honorable, my last question to you is that out of the 26 districts of the Buganda region, you have split it into half, 13. But also, how do we galvanize this country? Regardless of what color they chose, whatever they chose, you are going to have the social contract to be able to run this country. How do you bring this country together?
It is a responsibility of all of us, my dear fellow Ugandans. It is a responsibility of all of us. If we love our country, we need to work together as a team to bring the country together. First of all, as a party, I must appreciate that we had independence. And because of this independence, of course, there was divisions, conflicts here and there. And those conflicts generally affect not only the party, but they affect even our followers. So at the end of the day, we get challenges even in implementing and fulfilling our promises to the people. You as an individual, as a member of parliament, if you, for example, our people have to trust you, that you'll be the spokesperson of the people in parliament. But if these challenges are there, then sometimes you fail on your responsibility. So I think the onus is on all of us to ensure that we urge those who have not made it to remember there is always a winner and a loser. Now, if you have not won this time, it does not mean you have to antagonize Uganda. If you have not won this time round, it doesn't mean it's the end of the world or the end of Uganda. No, the country has to move on. So just remember, it is God who chooses leaders. So believe in that and know that maybe you'll get a chance another time. So can you come back and we work together and we unite our people together? Maybe they will appreciate you and they will be able to give you votes another time. But this time round, there are specific people God has given the blessing. So let's allow them to work, and then maybe another time it will be our turn or your turn. So this is my call to the people of Uganda, more so those who have not been able to make it. We have to unite the country together, because Uganda is today for all of us. Tomorrow it has to be for all of us. And we must also remember, and I want to urge our parents and the young people. The young people are saying they want to be the leaders of tomorrow. But how shall Uganda believe in you and trust you if you are the kind of people who are antagonizing the peace and the stability of this country? You are the people who are coming out to throw stones at people's cars and to say you are coming to demand for your votes. The people of Uganda have spoken. And they have spoken peacefully. The president and the government of NRM have kept the peace during this campaign and during this election. And you see, even those, whatever has happened during the campaigns, it's because there has been lack of, complying with the guidelines of Electoral Commission. If they say don't pass here, don't go with a convoy to your rally, and you decide to bring people from Kampala to Masaka, to where doing gari, going, throwing and stealing people's things, what do you expect? If you are the people who are throwing stones at security personnel, a person who has a gun and you want to throw stones at them, those challenges, of course, would happen. But all in all, I think it has been a very peaceful election. It has been a peaceful and fair election. That is why we are all here. I have seen the opposition members here who have come to observe, who have come to confirm what exactly has happened. Otherwise, if it wasn't a free and fair election, maybe they wouldn't be here. They wouldn't be here. They would probably say, we shall not come because we have not, it hasn't been free and fair. But because of that, they are all here. Even in Nopa, I have seen them here. Everybody I have seen here. So I want to thank His Excellency the President, President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. May God bless you. May God give you energy. May God give you wisdom to lead this country for these 5 years. And I have no doubt the President is going to set the country even for a better future. So that's why Ugandans have entrusted him with this responsibility. I want to thank NRM once again. I thank the Secretariat. I want to thank our teams that have led this campaign. I want to thank SEC, our Central Executive Committee. I want to thank everybody who has participated, all our pressure groups, more so our structure leaders. We respect you because you agreed to take up the mantle and you have fulfilled it. We have won Uganda. To me, we have won Uganda. The mere fact that in the last election it was all painted red, and this time it is and I'm sure by the time they complete the announcement, we are going to be beyond the 50% win in Uganda. To us, that is good enough for now. But for the future, it will all be painted yellow, by God's grace. And remember, I want to be very proud because we divided ourselves, members of the Secretariat, and even we incorporated other team leaders. For example, Mama Wandera Kazibwe was the one heading Busoga sub-region, and others were really heading other sub-regions. I was personally heading Kampala and Wakiso sub-region with the Honorable Mike Sebalu was my assistant. But I want to tell you, I'm very proud. I'm a very proud woman because I have been able to bring 6 members of parliament, 3 from Wakiso and 3 from Kampala. And President Museveni has also, the votes have increased greatly as compared to 2021. Praise be to God.
Amen. Thank you, Honorable Seninde. And she has given us a preamble of everything, the 4 strategies they use there to be able to look at the messaging, the candidate they have, and that has been able to get them to where they are. They're already celebrating, but also thanking God for where they are and grateful for what is happening to the National Resistance Movement. The next announcement will be coming in exactly 45 minutes from now, 55 minutes from now, and the Electoral Commission will be here to give us the final results that then we'll be able to declare who will become president-elect after this. We thank you so much, and we hand you over to Broadcast House.
Thank you so much, Timothy Nyangwesto, for giving us that update, and also Jordan Lokoma for having those interviews at the Electoral Commission Tally Center in Luboa. And we want to, news just in hot and just in here at UBC. The Electoral Commission is to announce the final results at 3 p.m. Away from the anticipated 5 p.m., it has been extended to 3 p.m., which is a good thing, Edward, for, of course, Ugandans, and also for the EC. But that means less anxiety for Ugandans, but that means more work for us in the newsroom. As
newsrooms all over the country, we shall be getting to do more. But of course, thanks to Jordan and Nyangweso for those interviews. Of course, Laureen, the Deputy Speaker there telling us that, divisions, not only in NRM. He gave an example of Soga, and you know what has been happening.
Oh, yes.
NRM lost some seats there
true.
because of the divisions there. Then also, he said even NUP and other political parties, they have got their divisions, and those divisions actually cost parties seats and so many other things. Then the other thing also that he talked about was, party cohesion. For party cohesion to happen, people must be united. You work together as a team, and I think this time round for NRM to have secured so many seats in the country, but also the presidential bit of it.
Yes.
When you look at the map, it is all yellow almost.
Yes.
Almost 90%
Absolutely.
is yellow. So I think that shows that the NRM this time round, probably their campaign strategy compared to 2021,
yes.
This time round it was really, really on point. And I would really like to commend the Dr. Aseni, who has just been talking to the nation there. She really mobilized, mobilizing.
She did.
They also, this time round, they used the internet, social media. They were campaigning there, and that is a strategy that they never utilized in 2021, and also that one was a plus to them. And that is why you find that they really did a lot. For sure.
I also, maybe some things that I picked from Thomas Tewa, he said, unfortunately, that is the life of politics. In politics, there will always be winners and there will be losers. So it is, and everybody goes through the same furnace. That's what he also
Even today we're going through that. I mean, when you look at football, Arsenal, Man U, someone will have to win.
Exactly. So it's universal. It's not only in politics, but also, just like you said, in football. It also happens.
It happens.
And you'll see the frustration of a supporter. Said, I've supported this team. They even start saying, I thought that the coach would do this and this, and maybe would have won this game.
And a good supporter will not start attacking the others who have won.
Exactly. So that should also be pushed on into politics as well. Do not attack the one who has won, has won the race. Instead, just like Honorable Seninde said, let's work together, Because when you talked about division, we'd see that someone leaves the party and decides to stand as an independent. And, that you start to create that division within the party.
And also, Lorraine, sorry to cut you, what you have just talked about, you come in as an independent, but, leaning to your party, but then you lose again as an independent.
Imagine the frustration.
It's a double loss.
Frustration is that
yes, the frustration. We understand. However, at the end of it all, you go there, to become a member of parliament, not to serve your own interests, but to serve the interests of the people who have sent you.
Exactly.
For the interests of the country. That is something that we should actually...
Let them not forget that, actually.
Exactly. That is when you're campaigning, when you want to go to represent people in parliament. True. The major thing that you should look at is, why am I going to parliament?
Indeed.
And I'm sorry to say this.
What am I going to deliver?
I'm sorry to say this. Most of the people who have gone there today, they're egoists. They just look at their own interests. They forget about the people who send them there. And that is why some of these people have actually been kicked out.
Imagine that.
Oh, yes.
But also, I want us to take a look at the presidential race. You talked about how Honorable, the Chief Mobilizer, NRM Chief Mobilizer, Honorable Rosemary Seninde, this time around, it's like they repackaged themselves and went head on.
Oh, yes.
Campaigns, mobilization, etc., etc. Looking back at the 2021 general elections, if you can tell, first of all, it was just 1 year after COVID-19.
After COVID, yes. And
then here we are, we have to elect a president. And of course, there were the challenges that came with its challenges. And I feel at that point, President Yoweri Museveni didn't reach as far as he did this time around. And I believe that has contributed to the numbers that we're seeing on your screen. And also and how he's been performing.
Yeah, the strategies, door to door. You've seen the members of, the aspirants who want to, the MP aspirants. They have been going door to door, but not only campaigning for themselves, but also campaigning for the president. And that was a very, very good strategy. Which they never did, which they never used in 2021. And that was one. And I also talked about social media. This time round, the NRM, they were there. They were on social media campaigning. Even some messages were coming through SMSs.
Yes.
And this is something that they never did the other time. And when you remember, if you recall, 2021, NUP, they used the media.
Oh, yes, they did.
Social media.
It was a serious wave.
Won people through that. So I think the NRM just sat and said,
what can
what
we learn?
Did we not do the other time that we should do this time round? And that is exactly what they did. And I'm not surprised that this time round they really got so many people to vote for them.
Absolutely. Also want to commend those, of course, who stretched out so much, campaigning for the NRM presidential candidate. We also want to say that in just a few minutes, we are going to be handing over to the next team. Remember, the final results for the presidential polls will be announced at 3 p.m. So we pretty much have about 45 minutes to go. And of course, as the next team is preparing themselves, Julie is getting ready to jump on set, of course, to give us more interviews, of course, with people that matter and also influential voices when it comes to the elections of this particular year. Also, results are still coming in when it comes to the parliamentary results course that is at Kololo, and we'll also be giving you updates on that as well. So keep it to UBC television, and as we continue to inspire you inside out. I am Loreen Masika Kazimoto, and of course together with my colleague
but our work doesn't stop here. Actually,
Absolutely.
It continues.
It does continue.
Of course, be giving you all the updates. Even tomorrow shall be continuing because the elections are not yet over.
Yes.
Yeah.
That means voting still continues actually for the different other positions, which we will be getting into. But for now, this is crucial.
Good afternoon.
So, good afternoon.
countdown begins. You are watching UBC TV, UBC UG Polls 2026. In case you haven't yet caught up with the statistics, as of the last provision, that was the 6th provisional results from the Electoral Commission, a total number of registered voters, 21,649,067 voters. Now, this number actually quite beats me and confuses me. I don't know if it does for you, because general statistics out there is 21,681,492, but Justice Simon Byabakama has been on and on making mention of the fact that the total number of registered voters has been 21,649,067 registered voters. The total number of polling stations as of the last provisional results was at 50,739 polling stations altogether, which definitely stays the same. But on the 6th provisional results, only 47,499 polling stations had been collected from with the votes, leaving us with a balance of 3,240 polling stations. And those 3,240 polling stations will be added to the statistic at 3 p.m. Bulira Frank was standing at 44,328 votes, carrying 0.42% of valid votes. Robert Kasibante was standing at 32,224 votes, carrying 0.30%. Robert Kyagulanyi was at 2,601,150 votes, carrying a 24.46%. Mabirizi at that time was at 22,274 votes, carrying a 0.21%. Candidate Muntu was at 57,019 votes, 0.54%, and candidate Munyagwa was at 30,509 votes. That is a 0.29% of the valid votes. Candidate Nandala was at 202,802 votes. That is a 1.91%. And candidate Museveni, they're leading with a 7,643,778 votes, 71.88% of the valid votes. And the valid votes counted thus far were 10,634,084 votes, and invalid votes were at 264,015 votes, carrying a 2.42%. Total votes altogether at that time, 10,898,099 votes. That is a 50.34%. And spoiled votes thereon were at 38,223 votes registered. At 3 p.m., we shall be finding out the total of votes carried from 50,739 polling stations across the country of Uganda. Indeed, the countdown does begin. And as the tension rises, as of course we do expect a number of petitions to take shape in the aftermath of this election cycle. But as UBC TV, we're definitely here to bring you all the stories and up to date. Looking at yesterday's provisional results versus the last provisional results, obviously the numbers went high for each candidate. But as we did hear from the likes of Honorable Shamim Malende, who indeed was just recently, a few hours ago, was announced as the new woman member of parliament for Kampala. She did mention that right now her focus is to fight for the win of presidency for her candidate, Honorable Kyagulanyi, who indeed she believes is being cheated, as she rightfully said, but also she focuses on fighting for the political prisoners, those who are still in prison. You are watching UBC TV here, coming to you live from Nile Avenue. And I'm not alone in studio, therefore this conversation, we're having it here and there, left, right, and center. And indeed, Honorable Mike Sevalu comes back to have this conversation with me. Once again, you're welcome, and thank you so much for choosing UBC TV this afternoon. An afternoon that is rather quiet on the streets of Kampala as far as I've studied, but also I believe quiet right now as everyone is either biting their fingertips and counting down the minutes left to know who the next president of Uganda is. Honorable Mike Sebalu, once again, thank you so much for joining us on set.
Thank you very much. I just want to correct you a bit.
Yes, please.
When you were referring to Honorable Malende,
yes, please.
And her desperate speculation about the post-electoral process, where she indicated that she was going to petition the alleged victory, you said, as she rightfully said, no, I think as she desperately speculated, because there's nothing right about that statement. Right. And we need to put it in a good perspective.
Right.
Now, regarding the situation, there is a big question here. Who will be the next president? And I would like to answer that the next president will be President Museveni, and President Museveni will be the next president, because all indications are clear that he's destined for an overwhelming win. And this is informed by the story of his journey to success. He started strong and is going to end strong. He started well, progressed well, and he's going to conclude well. Like a long-distance runner, you plan your race. You plan the energy, you plan the endurance, the consistency, and the finishing power. The strategy of candidate Museveni is interesting. If you are to guarantee your victory in a long-distance race, start off well, gain momentum, and build good momentum to overtake your next, the possible challenger. The way we are now, President Museveni overlapped candidate Kyagulanyi 3 times. If he's at 2.6 and candidate Museveni is at 7.6, that is an overlap 3 times. There is no possibility, even fertile imagination, that he can catch up and overtake. That possibility is simply not there.
As per the previous the last provisions, not previous, but rather last provision, results released from the EC, candidate Museveni was at 71.88%. Was this your expectation? Did you expect more? Did you expect less?
Actually, we expected more. And the explanation that we are not having more was the mishap of the biometric gadgets that caused that delay in the beginning of the electoral process. There are many people who had come up to cast their vote. Because of the delay, they went back and they never came back to exercise their right. There are those who are still home, who kept calling the polling stations, and since they didn't begin in time, they went off to do with their other business. So the voter turnout was largely affected by that mishap.
Right.
And largely, quite a number of those were those that do belong to the NRM. So we expected more. Even where the little that came up, we still command majority.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's look at the Observer's report as they read it. I don't know if you caught up with some of the highlights they stated.
I did.
What do you think of their observations and their recommendations?
Yeah, they came up with some very objective recommendations, but they also came up with observations that needed to be clarified.
Right.
For instance, they talked about inclusivity. And the inclusivity, in their own view, they kind of restricted it to women presidential candidates. Definitely the world over, that level of inclusivity, because it is according to the parties, but it is also according to the individual interested parties. We've had quite a number of female candidates come up in recent times. This time around, the fact that none came up, you can't put it to anyone. You can't put it to the NRM. You can't put it to government, because offering yourself as a candidate is an individual decision. So if there are no ladies that took up that decision, it's not something that you can blame to the Electoral Commission or to the party or to anyone. But the inclusivity can be seen in terms of parliamentary, to the extent that in the Constitution of Uganda, there are those slots and there are those offices, there are those constituencies that are exclusive for women. Like, for instance, the woman member of parliament, and we have them. And that is exclusive. So that answers the question of inclusivity through legal framework. It is provided for, and it is reserved for women. So when you talk about inclusivity, Uganda is an inclusive space where women and affirmative action is guaranteed. When you look at the women, they are provided for. When you look at the youth, they are provided for. When you look at workers, they are provided for. When you look at disabled, they are provided for. In terms of inclusivity, I've not seen or heard any jurisdiction in the world that is as inclusive as the Ugandan one, where different aspects of stakeholders are provided for. If anything, the Ugandan policy framework and constitutional framework is like a mirror. Our mirror is such that when you look in there, every image of stakeholder is there in this electoral process. You have the women there, you have the youth there, you have the disabled, you have the workers, you have the veterans, you even have the elderly. So tell me which aspect of the Ugandan polity is not reflected. And this is provided for in our legal framework. So the observers need to appreciate that. If anything, they should be congratulating us and appreciating us for being such an inclusive country where all sections of society are provided for. And they are going to be reflected in different levels of decision making, at the national level, even in the local government.
What makes the Satroflex a unique product is because it has an extended surface of footrests, and this is where the user steps here as stepping pads. And above all, the Satroflex has a narrowed base, which makes it fit perfectly well with standard pit holes, which reduces the amount of hacking that you need to do on the floor when installing.
NRM government.
Indeed.
Under candidate Yoweri Museveni.
All right, thank you very much, Honorable Mike Sevalu. Now, on your screen, indeed, as you've seen, Jethro at Lubowa, that is the National Tally Center. He is going to have a conversation with the Vice President of Uganda, that is Major Jessica Alupo. I cannot imagine what she feels like right now, but let's head straight to the National Tally Center and hear that conversation as well.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for keeping it UBC. We are still coming to you live from Lubowa, the National Tally Center, where we do expect the EC Chairperson Justice Simon Byabakama together with the Commission to come and give us the final and the last update or the verdict on who will be the President-elect, since all results do come in to this very side. But the last that we did have, of course, we had gathered about 47,499 votes from the different polling stations out of the 50,739, meaning we had covered about 93% 0.61%. But of course, we do have different dignitaries, we do have different observers, we do have different agents who are coming in to witness, but also to hear the exact information on how and when and who will be the president-elect. I do have the opportunity to talk to Her Excellency, the Vice President of the Republic of Uganda, Right Honorable Jessica Alupo. She will be telling us her opinion. What does she think? Her Excellency, thank you so much for sparing time. First things first, you went in unopposed as a woman member of parliament to represent Katakwi district again. How did you get to this? How did you make it once again that the people decided that you go back to parliament to represent them?
Thank you very much, and good afternoon, viewers. The election process is a process that is very crucial, and therefore all the stakeholders are normally very keen in participating and contributing to the process. Therefore, I would like to start by thanking all Ugandans who have participated in these elections as candidates, as electorate, as mobilizers in different capacities. For the case of Katakwi, I would like to state that my journey on this election process was very interesting. But what I would like to point out is that the elections in Katakwi during the NRM primaries and from the time I got nominated in the national election were very free and fair. The atmosphere, the environment was extremely conducive and level for all candidates. All the candidates who contested against me were very free to interact with me at all times, and we did our campaigns as sisters. For my sister who withdrew and gave way for me to become unopposed, I thank her very sincerely for her insight in recognizing that that was a good and a better option for all of us as the people of Katakwi district. And I indeed thank her and all the people of Katakwi district. So in as far as the elections for the presidential elections is concerned, somehow I participated in some parts of the country. I also noted that there was a conducive environment across the country for all the presidential candidates to reach out to the electorate. And I noted that all the people of Uganda are now aligned, are now aware and conscious that they must exercise their democratic right to select leaders after every 5 years. And on the election day, as early as 7 o'clock, the people were very many in the polling stations. I thank the people of Uganda for going out to demonstrate that it is possible to freely and democratically elect our leaders after every 5 years. I have seen from the results in the tally so far is that His Excellency President Museveni is leading with 71.8%, and I think it is permissible to congratulate him even at this point as we wait for the final results that are going to be announced. His Excellency the President has presided over the campaigns in a very peaceful and fatherly way. He has presided over the campaigns in a way that was enabling all leaders of different colors to freely mix with the people, and I think we should also pay tribute to him for that.
Your Excellency, talking about very many politicians who went through unopposed, there are rumors that very many honorable members of parliament are actually buying out these people. What do you say about this?
For that statement that you have just made, I ably responded to the situation for Katakwi district, where my opponent voluntarily withdrew to give way for me to be unopposed in a mutual way, in a way that was not out of coercion, in a way that was out of pressure. My thinking is that that should have been the case for all the candidates that went unopposed. If it is not the case, then I think it is also not my responsibility to delve into that. I think it is the responsibility of the Electoral Commission.
Your Excellency, my last question to you. Today and any minute from now, the EC will be giving out their final declaration. What should Ugandans expect? We have received different phone calls. There is fear that anything might happen when it comes to security, but you are on the top.
As I have said, from the results, His Excellency President Museveni is leading, and the Ugandans are all watching the TV, they are listening to radios, and they are following. It is important for all of us to prepare for the outcome of the elections. In whichever category we belong to, in as far as parties are concerned, I call upon all Ugandans first and foremost to recognize that in any and in every election, there is always a winner and those that may not win. But that does not mean the end of the story. We need to recognize that even when we do not win, we remain Ugandans and we remain to offer service to our people. And I have noted one of the strong undertakings that the president has made in the country is unite all of us. So after the outcome of the results that are due to be announced, I call upon all Ugandans to remain united and rally behind the president who is going to be announced so that he can be able to implement the programs for the betterment of all Ugandans. I call upon the security forces also to exercise their right of securing all the people of Uganda under the law. And I want also to persuade all Ugandans to recognize and comprehend the role and responsibilities of the security teams who are deployed. I would like Ugandans to look at them as their own brothers and sisters who are also there to play their role, to ensure that whether the election, after election, we must remain Ugandans and continue conducting our businesses as we have been doing so before the election.
Thank you so much, Her Excellency, retired Major Jessica Alupo, for that insight. Ladies and gentlemen, anytime from now, the EC chairperson will be coming in to give us the last update, and we shall be knowing who will be the president-elect anytime from now. For now, I hand over to the broadcast house.
Jethro, for that conversation with the Vice President of Uganda about 2:45 p.m. when the Electoral Commission comes back to give us the final result of the constituents of Uganda as we find out who the President of Uganda 2026-2031 is. That is for the next 5 years. You are watching UBC TV, and we come to you live from Nile Avenue, UBC. UG goes to the polls 2026. My name is Julie F. Nantaba. In studio with me is Honorable Mike Sevalu, and we're having conversations here and there regarding this particular season that we are in as Ugandans. And on that note, one of the mentions that the Honorable Vice President has made is on security. Coming back to you, Honorable Mike Sebalu. She did talk about the fact that as Ugandans, we should not fear security members. We should look at them as our brothers and sisters who are also playing their role. Do you really think that Ugandans are able to perceive men in uniform in such a stature?
Yeah, thank you very much, Julie. One thing on a light note, when I hear people say that when the chairman of the Electoral Commission is coming to tell us who the next president is, I just put in a bit of a light moment that when he comes to confirm, because for sure we all know that the president at the level of 71.8%, that is irreversible. It is not something that can be reversed. Like I did indicate earlier on, the president overlapped his next opponent 3 times. So to undo that and be able to gain victory is something that may never, even miracles of that nature can't happen now. Now, regarding security, one of the biggest gains that we are protecting is peace, security, and stability. And what is the reflection and the attraction of majority of Ugandans to candidate Yoweri Kaguta Museveni? Candidate Yoweri Kaguta Museveni represents peace, represents stability, represents security, represents progress, development, and all those are mothered by peace and security. So for us to protect the peace and security, they are actors. And the major stakeholders in terms of being major actors in the architecture of security are the security forces. We've been able to survive as a secure country for the last 40 years because of the security actors. The UPDF, the police, the prisons, and the security agencies. So when we talk about peace and security during this time, we need to have confidence in the security apparatus. And the beautiful thing is that security works on the basis of intelligence. They have information which we don't have. So when you see them deploy in a particular place, they are doing so on the basis of information. Maybe that is a security threat and they want to avert. Because if we allow security to be taken for granted, then we can find ourselves in a situation where government will be blamed. And the blame will always go to the president and his government, because the primary work of the president is to secure the country, secure the people and their property. So that's why we need to appreciate the role and mandate of the security forces in an exercise of this nature, where even those that don't wish us well from the external may want to take advantage of this and do something that can compromise the security of the country. So it is in our interest, it is done in our interest, it is done for us and in our interest.
Right, and on that particular matter of security, moving forward with the next government that is to take on, that is to take Uganda on, what advice do you have? What changes do you think need to be made? What should be done better in terms of governing the nation? When we start with security itself, the perspective on ground seems to be a little different. It seems like security is against the citizens of Uganda. So what do you think the government that is
The perspective is by some, but that perspective is projected and championed by some leaders. You know, there are those leaders who only believe that if they've not won, then they would rather let everything go to waste. You know, that is not being very strategic leadership. That is not being objective. that is not being good leaders, because security is good for all of us. Security is good for the opposition, just like it is good for those in government. So security is a cross-cutting benefit. It is a common good. It is a general good. So those leaders that create an impression of that Uganda is not secured, or the security is not operating for good intentions of everyone, seriously, they are not being good. They are being bad losers who say, if we've lost it, let's create a situation that that is not good for everyone.
Right.
But I think, just like candidate Museveni has always done, just like NRM has always done, this is not the first election we've participated in. The government has always taken security as paramount and has served the entire country without discrimination, because security is a cross-cutting benefit. Once the country is secure, anybody will use that enabling environment to get the best out of it. So I want to believe that securing Uganda will remain a top priority, just like it has been in the last 40 years.
Looking at the high expectation and indeed the confirmation that you have as the fact that candidate Museveni indeed is going to be announced as the next president,
the statistics are confirming
that are being told to us by the Electoral Commission, on top of protecting the gains, what changes do you suggest the new government should make as Uganda moves ahead?
I think the president and government have taken on the issue of transformation through household income, through getting the entire majority into the money economy. The parish development model is something that has been rolled out. It should be scaled up to the highest level, widen the scope of beneficiaries, enhancing the efficiency levels in terms of access, in terms of equity, making it more effective so that the beneficiaries do benefit from that, so that the development that we've been able to get in terms of the roads, in terms of the infrastructure, is translated into household income. And that is the focus that should be given high priority, high attention. All those that are given responsibility to implement that should do it to the best of their ability, so that we get a whole majority of Ugandans benefiting and transforming themselves from subsistence to money economy and benefit from the programs of government. Also, service delivery should be put at its highest. You know, universal primary education, universal secondary education, immunization, and all programs that have the effect of improving the welfare of the people should be put to the highest level of implementation. So the team the president is going to assemble, he should consider looking at those people that will increase effectiveness and efficiency of service delivery, but also of the transformation agenda, so that people get out of poverty, so that people create wealth, so that people enjoy a high standard of living.
Right. Now, on your screen, you might be wondering what is being displayed. It's how the different districts are performing in regards to domination of the parties. And you can see, as you can see, NUP and NRM are really into the different districts. Some districts like that on display is yellow, meaning that yellow has dominated that particular district. And of course, that too as well is yellow. So it's informing you, the chart is definitely just informing you which districts are being dominated by what party as you study it on there. Now, Honorable, speaking of, for your information, by the way, we do have 5 minutes to 3 p.m. 3 p.m. is the time
to
that...
the hour, as it goes.
Indeed, 5 minutes to the hour, the long-awaited hour by Ugandans. But as we wait for that hour is the hour that Justice Simon Byabakama will come through to give us the final result of who the next president of Uganda is for the next 5 years and what the statistics look like. On the screen is of what Kampala looks like. The streets are very clear. We don't see any heavy police deployment on the streets. It's just a few cars moving, as you can see on the screen and the footage that you can indeed see from there. It's just quite calm and relaxed. It feels like a Sunday already on this Saturday. Now, Honorable, speaking of the people that the president is going to work with, let's look at the youth. Uganda is 75% youth populated, and many times youth feel left out in line with making policies, in line with being heard as to what befits this current generation. What do you think should be done in the next government regarding youth involvement?
I think we need to first appreciate the youth engagement and youth involvement. Youths are at all levels of decision making. Every single level. When you come to the village, there is a youth representative. Go to the parish, go to the sub-county, go to the district, and go to the national parliament. But the youth also have mainstream channels of participation. The youth councils, the women councils, the councils for the disability. So Uganda has put framework of different participation by different stakeholders.
Right.
But I also want to encourage that in terms of assembling the team, the president needs to give that due consideration.
Indeed.
We need to see a youthful team.
And a very vibrant cabinet.
But the most important thing is to get a good mix. Right. Let the team have a good mix, or where the youth look in there and their image is there, where the elderly, where the women, where the disability. So let it be a good mix. But the bottom line should be competence, ability, and capacity to deliver.
Right. Let's head over to the clock tower flyover where Arnold Mark Waduro is, for him to just speak into what the environment is like. From the footage we've seen, it's calm, collected, as easy as a Sunday morning, but definitely we'll get the best story from his mouth. Over to you, Mark.
Thank you very much, Broadcast House. We're coming to you from the Central Business District. To be specific, we're coming to you from downtown Kampala on Queens Way at the Flyover Road. Well, the ambience here is quite normal. The mood is quite somber. It's not anything that we've probably been hearing. In Kampala, we can see that transportation is going on. Of course, the traffic is relatively less than the usual, considering the fact that it's following a day that was considered a public holiday. Of course, the voting and the tallying day. And when you look around, the mood is really normal. You could think that this was just any other public holiday. But the borders are packed on the streets waiting for those clients that decided to come out today. We're also seeing pedestrians. We're also seeing taxis. We're actually proximate to the old and new taxi park, and the taxis are coming in, going out as normal as they should. We don't see any signs of unrest. We are confident that the streets are actually safe. To also talk about the security situation, there are several cars, there are several police vehicles parked on the side, and they are supervising the security situation. We know that for sure they are also distributed amongst the various corners, the various aspects and hotspots within the CBD here. So we know for sure that security is actually really tight. Nothing is expected. We also don't see, of course, as we expect for the results to come in at about 3 to 4 p.m. by the Electoral Commission. Of course, the mood is expected to change, but considering the fact that security is tight, we might not see any unrest. Now, of course, we also have to bring to the fact that the results are already out. Not really fully, but partially. And the incumbent, President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, is in the lead by a mile, by miles and miles of, of votes. So there definitely have to be people that are happy by these results and people that are not happy. So we can only report to see what happens, but that's the report that I'm getting here in downtown Kampala.
All right, thank you, Mark. Right now, let's take a look at what's happening at Lubowa. Everything is really set. It's already 3 p.m. and it's the awaited hour. So the countdown is off and we're just waiting for the EC officials to see Justice Byabakama lead his team onto that high table where the results will officially be given, and for us to know what has come out of the 50,739 polling station that cut across Uganda. And looking at what the last provisional results had, total number of polling stations 21,649,000. That is the total number of voters. It's 1,739 polling stations that were in this particular election cycle. So far as the last provisional results at about 10 a.m., 47,499 polling stations had been collected for their votes. And as per the presidential candidates, Bulira Frank came through with 44,328 votes, bringing him to 0.42% of the valid votes. Robert Kasibante was at 32,224 votes, bringing him to a percentage of 0.30%. Robert Kyagulanyi was at 2,601,150 votes, bringing him to a percentage of 24.46%. Mabidizi was at 22,274 votes, that is to 0.21%. Muntu was at 57,019 votes, bringing him to 0.54%. Munyagwa was at 30,509 votes, bringing him to 0.29%. And Nandala was at 202,802 votes, bringing him to a percentage of 1.91%. And candidate Museveni finally was leading with 7,643,778 votes, bringing him to a percentage of 71.8%. As you can see on your screen, the graph there is showing you that indeed yellow has such a high lead, and the range is rather different. Yes, Honorable. What?
Very interesting.
Yes, please.
About the trends. The results have moved. Right from the word go, candidate Museveni was leading up to now. There was no point when he was overtaken. But even in the run-up during the presidential campaigns, the opinion polls have all indicated a clear trajectory of win for candidate Museveni. And the predictions are coming to pass because the average that has come out in terms of his percentage win was around 70 to 75, thereabout.
Right.
And looks like it is not far-fetched. And that is very scientific. That is evidence-based. So this victory was predicted, was predictable, and it has come to pass.
I can see the result of your work indeed is paying off. Now, just a reminder on what Afande Kituma Rusoke, the spokesperson of police, said about the whereabouts or welfare of Honorable Kyagulanyi. He did say that, number one, for a fact, as police, they know that Bobi Wine is not under any form of arrest. And he said that, in fact, Kyagulanyi is at home, his home in Magere. But he also made mention of the fact that deployment around Magere and perhaps his home also is number one. Magere is like any other hotspots. It's among those hotspots that security detail took note of and decided to deploy police there. But also the fact that in case there's anyone who had plans to organize to disorganize the public, that was one way of cutting them off. That's why even around his home, perhaps you could have seen or taken note of police deployment on there. And then he also said, if you do not believe what the police is saying, then there's no other way of proving it to you. Just believe what the police is telling you. And of course, if you are for peace and are a candidate of peace, you should not be worried as to move about in Kampala, even if you see police deployment. For as long as you are for peace, no one will disturb you. On your screen, we see the high table, the setup where Justice Simon Kama sits with all the commissioners of the Electoral Commission, and it's where they'll have their last seat at the high table of the Electoral Commission for the 2026 general elections, as they give us a final result of the results from the polling.
Something of interest.
Quickly, because we are going there.
Something of interest is that the security of all presidential candidates is of interest to the country.
Right.
So they all need to be secured, all of them, not Kyagulanyi alone, but everyone who appeared on the ballot on a day like this, their security is of state interest.
Indeed.
So they need to be secured as well.
Indeed, indeed. Now let's head over to Luvowa, and right on the podium is the spokesperson of the Electoral Commission, Julius Mchunguzi.
Yes, sir.
And they should be coming in shortly. You're welcome.
On your screen, indeed, getting ready to receive members of the commission, that is the Electoral Commission, to give us the final result of Uganda's constituency and who leads it. Of course, as Honorable Mike Sebalu did share the excitement, that I mean by the statistics and what we've seen even on the graph itself, it's quite evident who is going to be announced. But it's also important that you know the numbers as they come in from 50,739 polling stations in the election cycle of the general elections 2026. So far, by the last provisions, only 47,499 polling stations as the polling stations whose results had been collected. But as we speak right now, we are left with a balance of 3,240 polling stations. And those 3,240 polling stations will be added onto the 47,499 polling stations, and it will be a total of 50,739 polling stations. As you can see on your screen in studio with me is Honorable Mike Sebalu, who's giving us his insights, especially as someone who has been around, and it's quite an honor for the younger generation to learn from men and women of his stature who have seen Uganda have its history being written and its history being written even in the now in comparison of their time of service. Has it always, Honorable Mike Sebalu, has it always been as tensioning as now? I'm not so sure. That right now it perhaps seems a lot of mixed emotions because there are those, obviously, who believe that the results, as you heard, the results at the tally center are not the same, ground. But give us a feel of what it was like, perhaps, in the time you were active in Uganda's election cycles.
Yeah, the interesting thing is that I've participated in electoral observations. I've participated as a candidate. I've participated as a voter. I've participated as a campaigner. But it is all about being true to yourself.
Right.
There are those moments when in your inner heart you get to appreciate that we tried our best, but our best was not good enough, and therefore you accept to be defeated with honor, dignity, and decorum. Even when you are winning, it is good practice to win with honor, dignity, and decorum. So what is happening today is not anything that can create tension. The results are as good as out. What we are waiting for is a formal ceremony and a formal pronouncement as per the laws of the land. But otherwise, the winners know, and they should prepare themselves to take victory with honor, dignity, and mutual respect. We should not call names. We should not, engage in conflict. We should take victory with the decorum. Even those that find themselves on the other side should also be able to take defeat with the dignity and honor.
Right.
So the results are not that close. It can only be an issue where maybe you're wondering whether someone is going to make the 50+1. Because in Uganda, it is simple majority, 50+1. And that declares you the winner.
The winner, yes.
But it is not anything like that. The gap is so glaring. The winning is massive. So we should be able to take it in good spirit and plan to reorganize and give it another shot.
Right.
Next.
About 13 minutes after 3 p.m., we are still waiting for Justice Simon Byabakama and all the commissioners from the Electoral Commission to take those seats at the highest table in that lounge right now at Lubowa. That is at the National Tally Center, which is the headquarters of the Electoral Commission. And as we wait, we are having this conversation and chewing on many things while we learn and relearn. Speaking of taking your victory in honor or taking your defeat in honor, what would you advise those who have lost in elections, both at positions of members of parliament as well as the presidency, those who will be announced to have lost? What would you advise them moving forward? How best can they serve their country? How best can they be part of the story of their country in the next 5 years?
Yeah, you see, they need to take it that leadership is not about a position. Leadership is not about an office. Leadership is not about a title. Leadership is your viewpoint, is your orientation, is your thought process, is your level of objectivity, your level of engagement, your level of participation. So there are different spaces where leadership will manifest itself. So you can always be a good engager. You can engage in constructive engagement. Where there are good ideas, you can offer good ideas, you can offer good advice, and you can be available to respond to any needs where you're the opposition. You can make your constructive contribution in terms of alternative policy direction. You can appreciate where government is doing good. You can come in to support where you think better ways of implementation can be done. It's not about criticism. It's not about disengagement. It's not about alienation. So that is what leadership is all about. I'm here in this office not because I have a title, not because I have an office, not because I have a response, but because of my civic responsibility to come and share my viewpoint and be able to make a contribution in the space of leadership.
Let's look at this leadership going into even serving with the new government now that shall govern Uganda 2026 into 2031. For those who are on the side of opposition, does it make sense for them to be part of the government and serve in the government, as we've seen the likes of Honorable Norbert Mao, who is of DP, but is the current Minister of Constitutional Affairs?
Yeah, and to serve in government does not mean you are on the government side, because those parties that have not been able to win the presidency have members of parliament. The members of parliament should actively play their role as members of parliament from the 4 responsibilities that they have. They should participate in lawmaking, they should participate in representing their people, they should participate in appropriation, in the budget process, they should participate in oversight, and they should be able to take government policies, they should be able to implement government policies in their constituencies. Even if you're a member of opposition and the PDM is being implemented in your area, participate in preparing your constituents to partake of the parish development model. If you're a good member of parliament, you should allow your people to partake of government programs, because the government in power does not only serve the people that voted for it. The government is going to serve all Ugandans equally, with the equity as a point of reference. So if you are that good member of parliament, you should get all these government programs to be successful in your constituency. And that is the role that you have been elected to do. And by doing that, you are playing your role and you are representing your party at the national level.
Right. What we can see on the screen, usually that particular scene is always, for me, a representation and an interpretation that the commissioners are about to walk down the aisle to the high table of that lounge.
And you can call it the walk of victory, because that is the final lap. Actually, now they are coming for the lap of honor, or the walk of honor.
Is it the walk of honor on their side?
The walk of honor, because they've delivered.
All right.
You know, they started with the nomination. Right now, they are going to have that walk. They had the walk for the nomination.
Right.
Now they are going to have the walk of honor as the final lap, as they go to make the final pronouncement. So that is a serious walk.
That final walk is a landmarking walk indeed.
And they are coming all with their garbs, with their robes.
Right.
They're really coming with a good sense of satisfaction and delivery.
All right. It's 19 minutes after 3 p.m. The Electoral Commission did announce that they will be giving us the final result at exactly 3 p.m. And it's already 19 minutes into 3 p.m. As we await them, we await the commissioners to take the walk of honor, as Honorable Mike Sevalu has indeed given it that title and that imagery, that they take that final walk as they give Ugandans the final result that has come from 50,739 polling stations on there. And of course, we are left with 3,240 polling stations to complete all the 50,739 polling stations and receive the final result of Uganda's election cycle in the general election 2026.
Which is their final deliverable. That's another box they're ticking.
Right.
The final deliverable, an outcome of 3 months of serious engagement.
Indeed, 3 months, and actually even more months if you think about it. From mobilizing for country registers, updating registers. It's been a journey.
We've walked it. We thank